You're watching CHCO-TV's gavel-to-gavel coverage of the October 2023 Council meeting for the Municipal District of St. Stephen. I'm Florence Mitchell. In today's meeting, Heather Donahue will present the year-end update for the St. Stephen Business Improvement Area. Several bylaws will be discussed. Bylaw 15-23 to regulate the use of public parks will have its second reading as amended, and Bylaw 14-23, being the Community Planning and Development Services Fees Bylaw, will be given its second and third readings. An amendment to Bylaw M-2, being the Municipal Plan Bylaw, will be given first reading by title. A date of November 8th, 2023 for public presentation will be proposed, and a date of November 29th, 2023 for a public hearing will be proposed. An amendment to Bylaw Z-3, being the zoning bylaw, will be given first reading by title, and a date of November 29th, 2023 for a public hearing will be proposed. Finally, Bylaw 16-23 to impose a special business improvement levy for 2024 will be given its first reading. Under new business, Council will propose the adoption of the District's 4-year plan for the Provincial Municipal Highway Partnership Program. That plan will run from 2025 to 2028. Council will consider the adoption of the proposed policy for the remuneration of firefighters. Finally, Council will propose the awarding of tender MDSS 23-02 for waste collection services within Ward 2 to Southern Sanitation Limited, commencing November 1st, 2023, and expiring October 31st, 2027, at a cost of $704,253.60. Now let's join Council in the Moosehead Room at the Garceland Civic Center.
Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order, and I would like to welcome everyone to the Wednesday, October 25th Municipal District of St. Stephen Council. And I would like to welcome everybody here, especially the people in the audience. And I'd like to welcome the people that are online. I didn't realize how many people were, because I've had people call me and go like, "You actually watched it?" But anyway, so it's a good thing. And first of all, before we begin, I would like to respectfully acknowledge that we are gathered today on the ancestral, unceded territory of the Pascoagam people. And first of all, I would need to have a motion that the agenda of the regular council meeting of today be approved. Can I have a... I so move. Second. Okay. Councillor Eastman first and seconded. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion accepted. Are there any disclosure of conflict of interest tonight? I don't believe so. Okay. Now I'm very happy to, no, I'm sorry. I guess I'm not, okay. I also need someone to make a resolution to accept the minutes of the regular council meeting held on September 27. Can I have somebody make, Councillor Cornish, seconder? Sure. Councillor Eastman. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we are very pleased to have a public delegation from the St. Stephen Business Improvement Area, year-end update by Heather. So the floor is yours, Heather.
So do you want me to just go over what we've done, or, I mean, our budget, you have copies of our budget.
Would you like to speak on it?
Yeah, well, our budget, we're a very small BIA, and so the levy for 2024 is going to come in coming in at $26,500. I have money sitting from grant money that we haven't finished the project. So that's where you see that line, the 37,400. So we've got the security cameras are probably going to be installed, hopefully, maybe next week. And where they're going to be placed is Bone Physio. Then there's going to be one at SimCorp overlooking the Chocolate Park. SimCorp has security cameras around their buildings, both businesses actually. I guess there used to be security cameras that overlooked the park, but they were removed. I don't know why, but Mark Driscoll felt that would be good because we do have a little activity going on in the park. Coming back up Milltown, there's going to be one over the doorway of Game Time. And then there's going to be one at the public library looking onto King Street. And then Briggs Plumbing will be the last for this year. We will probably look into maybe placing more next year. And this money is coming from downtown New Brunswick. So the government last year announced that they are giving downtown New Brunswick $500,000 yearly. And then we just have to decide if we're going to do a capital project or if it's going to be like social media, like there's different categories. So we're very pleased that the downtown New Brunswick has this opportunity. You can see that over the last 3 years, we contributed with funding grants, $198,553.91 into St. Stephen. Our downtown dollars have been very successful since 2019. We've injected close to $30,000. So that means those $30,000 could have gone out of St. Stephen. But people have decided to purchase our dollars and keep the money in the small businesses. So we're pleased with that. So once a year, I do a blowout sale where I give a 10% discount. So the customer will come in, they get the 10% discount. We absorb that, the BIA, so that the businesses, they get full value for those dollars. So the only other thing I would like to, I've asked if there's any projects that the town would like to see us working on. And I mean, there's lots of money out there. And so if there's a project they would like to see us work on, I would be more than happy to be made aware. Now, I'm going to ask again if we could maybe prep the library wall for maybe a future. Jeff Slater, who is our muralist, who's done 2 of our murals, he once told me that is not a mural wall. And he gave us ideas what it would be. But Wade and I were speaking, and we felt that, maybe if there was like a nice welcome to downtown St. Stephen, maybe we buy a couple benches for a little seating area. Jeff Slater, his suggestion was we had the ivy that was running over. He said what he could vision that wall is to have ivy all the way around, like cover the wall up. And, but I would like to see a sign that says, "Welcome to downtown St. Stephen" on that wall. If it's not going down, at one point we were told that the wall was coming down, but I think it's not now. So, any projects you guys want us to be working on, we'd be more than happy.
Kev, could you elaborate on that? Because I believe that that wall was supposed to be, work was supposed to be done during the renovations, right?
Yeah, that's initially the project was to have the wall removed. Costs that came in exceeded at the allocation that we were given through the grants, and it was one of the items, like many, that we couldn't add to it. So we've got almost like a blank canvas right now in the form of the plaza that's almost there. So that was just one of the items that initially was going to be removed, but it was too expensive to do so. So the project would have gone over budget.
Yes, Councillor Rodas?
I think the ivy idea is fantastic. It would be really beautiful. And I also wanted to mention that I'd love to see the downtown district also partner with the Passamaquoddy Recognition Group to look at Indigenous funding and have an Indigenous artist actually do some artwork to represent the Scoodic River in their language and kind of the historical aspects of that river from an Indigenous lens, because I know that we have so much history as far as our town of St. Stephen, but we have previous history to that would be very beautiful to acknowledge. So just seeking out grants, but then also partnering with them to see if they have somebody from the Passamaquoddy Nation who could actually do the art, because I know they have some fantastic artists from the nation. So just an idea. But the ivy wall, fantastic. I think the mural there, I'm totally 100% comfortable with it being painted over. Although I love its rainbow, that's wonderful, but I am fine with that. And I think, adding some greenery down there would be fantastic.
So I had a businessman who volunteered his business, and Jeff Slater thought that wall would be a great mural. So I've spoken to the businessman because I was watching a council meeting and you mentioned about this, the indigenous, I'm sorry. Anyhow, he would prefer to stick with a history piece. And I don't know if any of you know, but we had a design done, and if anybody remembers Dover Hill and the fountain where young people used to drive around downtown St. Stephen. Anyhow, we found the fountain. And so what we envisioned in the BIA was to have a mural done of the Dover Hill back when, with where the horses would drink out of the fountain. And then this businessman, he owns an adjacent vacant lot, and his envision was to have the fountain maybe running someday, water coming out of it. And if any businessman could do it, it would be he. So that's the design's done, and so I just have to, whatever the town wants is what we will do. And for funding, there'd be no problem for funding for an Indigenous mural at all.
Are there any more comments or questions? Yes. Yes.
Just thanks for the great work that you're doing. I mean, that's a lot of money that's been invested back into the downtown core. So I think it's fantastic, and we're lucky to have the BIA willing to be so collaborative with the town. I think there's an opportunity to have some spirit invigorated back into our goals as well of what we're doing downtown, because we've been through a lot of tough things. But I think, speaking about the beautification and giving back to the downtown businesses, it's really important that we remember that that's a huge component of, our community well-being. So thank you for all your hard work.
We have 24 BIAs in New Brunswick, and they do wonderful work. So my question back to the I'm going to say one more thing about the library wall. In your policy, the mural program, policy number 71, it states that 3 years a mural wall should stay up. And I looked back and I was trying to figure it out, and I think that went up in 2019. I just went back to my summer students, so I don't know if that's the correct year or not, but that's what I figured. So it's been over 3 years now. So anyhow, and we'll be guaranteed $20,000 first thing in 2024 from downtown New Brunswick. So anyhow, is there any questions?
Councillor Heislip?
Yeah, it wouldn't be to you, Heather. It would be, we have a member on the BIA, right?
It's now Wade.
It's now Wade. So maybe we can just work between
You and Wade.
BIA, Wade, and the council and come back with like 3 ideas, and we can choose one of those. And 'cause well, something like we were talking about this evening, like the 3 different ones, Indigenous maybe, and
Yeah.
Dover Hill one, and whatever, and just have a little write-up on it and say, okay, this is what we're looking at, and then we can make a decision on it.
I can show Wade the draft sketches of the Dover Hill mural. I do have those on my computer, and like I said, you got to find a wall that a business is going to commit to, and
About this one out here, like an idea for this,
Yes.
what we're talking about right now, right?
Round
The round part of the,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, if you gave us permission, we would prep that wall now, the BIA, and then so it would be ready to roll just as soon as we get the funding and an artist. So,
We'll work together, get a package or something that we can present to council.
absolutely. All right.
Councillor Cornish?
Yep. Oh, yeah, thank you. Didn't know how to push it on or off. Just a question for you, and I may be dating myself, but coming across the bridge.
Pardon me?
Coming across the bridge,
Yes.
I don't know if they're still there or not. I just trying to think if they're not, but when you come across, I see a lot of old advertisement for hotels in St. John and other stuff that has disappeared, maybe through pigeon stuff, but anyway, I always thought it'd be nice to have something up there to kind of identify, other than turning left or right in the green light coming through the customs, that we welcome to the municipal district of St. Stephen and have something up there, because
You mean
there's
like
nothing
a
there,
mural on those back?
I guess.
So, there were 2 billboards that were located at 200 Milltown Boulevard. That's the vacant lot between Customs and 198. I'd say, like, you know what building I'm talking about? I was going to refer to way back when. So I worked with the new owner of that, and those billboards are taken down now, the 2 that were on that vacant lot. The billboard that sits advertising a pool in Calais is coming down. So the new owner and I've spoken, and we're going to get that taken down. And I've spoken with Mel Reed, who owns the boulevard, and she's willing to put a billboard on the back of her building, because if you're driving and you're sitting on the bridge, you're going to see an advertisement for a business down, I don't know, it's the Red Rooster. I don't even think I think there's a bylaw that you're not allowed to even advertise a business that's not in that building. I think there's a bylaw for that. I've asked Mel if we could arrange to have that taken down. She has no problem, but her vision is to have a mural of her daycare, which would, that's her choice, that's her building. But, yeah.
Any more questions or comment? Well, thank you very much, and we will deal with the requests a little later on.
Yep. And if you have any questions, my door's always open.
Okay. Okay, I need to have a mover to acknowledge and receive the administrative officer's report.
So moved.
Okay, Councillor Wright. Oh, Councillor Cornish, second. So Jeff, could you speak on your report, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The report was in your package, fairly all-encompassing for this reporting period for the most part. Municipal budget, we're 3 weeks away from the deadline to get budget approved and into the government at this point. As noted in the report, there are a number of challenges that are still staying in our way, including some data from our lovely provincial masters that they haven't provided us yet, which are kind of important, including the largest single budget item in our budget, which is the cost of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Also on that note, many of you came and observed our little pre-budget consultation meeting with the public that I held upstairs. I think it went exceptionally well. The feedback was good. Our charrette at the end of giving people the opportunity to spend their own version of our budget into different categories worked well. People took it very, very seriously. And the results of that exercise are on my desk, which I'm going through. Concurrently, right now, so we still have out the pre-budget survey as well, looking at priority areas for the community. When I checked it this morning, it was 57 respondents had filled out the survey. So we're going to let that closes on November 2nd, I believe it is. And then we're going to wrap that together with the results from the in-person session and produce a what we heard document that will accompany our budget submission to you. As I promised the public at the meeting, and I've said in here before, the comments that we receive, they're going to be documented in the back of the what we heard document, along with responses from administration as to whether we were able to address that concern, how we think we did, or why we didn't. So you'll have that feedback loop as well. So things are progressing as quickly as they can as information becomes available. As previously promised, I did go off to the ICMA conference and partook in a lot of educational development opportunities there. Housing, unsheltered populations probably were 80% of our learning opportunities. It's not only a St. Stephen issue or New Brunswick issue or a Canada issue, it's an international issue. And we're all attempting to find the best practices and the best way to address things. I saw work from communities that have gated communities established and staffed and with its own private police force, through to municipalities that were just closing a deal on buying an old hotel and using that as emergency shelters moving forward. So wide breadth of ideas and options there. I think I said in my report too, there was many more sessions than one person could attend in a few days period. But just this morning or yesterday afternoon, I did receive my login to go in and be able to watch all the other sessions that were pre-recorded. So you get another learning opportunity afterwards to catch the stuff you missed, which is a nice part of that program, that it's included with your registration when you attend in person. So lots more learning coming on that as my day permits, and it's great entertaining and educational opportunity when you have your morning coffee and you're still waking up. You can learn some things in the morning. So that's how I try and work it into my schedule. We had previously kind of discussed municipally owned land and what we're doing there. Future St. Stephen and Alex from the RSC and I have been working away at a plan for you. We're categorizing all of the land we own into 3 to 4 different categories. Some that we think are prime for potentially just putting a for sale sign on the property and selling. Some that we think need some work and then could be ready for market. and others that we think there's development opportunities that we can lead. And we already have been working on some ideas and some outside the box thinking too that we're going to formulate into a report for you. Hoping maybe we can get into that discussion a little bit in a couple weeks at the committee of the whole meeting, because we're trying to move as quickly as we can on it. But it's been a great teamwork between the three organizations working together to try and figure this out for you. So stand by for that one, because it is actively in work. Obviously, you guys have all got the CAO stuff, CAO review stuff that was pursuant to the new policy adopted by council. In addition to what's in the report, a few things on my desk that I'm working away on. Working on an RFP package potentially for release around electronic records management system. For anybody who knows what our records management system is in here, it is a lot of bankers boxes that are stacked floor to ceiling, and then a whole bunch more that are still at the border arena. So we would like to modernize our records management system. So I'm working on something to bring to committee to discuss that in more detail. Also, the several policies that were looked at committee of the whole, mostly relating to our corporate services division. Trying to get those back to council, hopefully next month for adoption there. So a lot of moving parts in the CAO's office, but it's nice to be able to sink my teeth into that a little bit more than I had been when I was trying to do the clerking and the everything else. So the addition of our EA has opened up a lot of workable hours in my office for sure. But yeah, with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
First of all, I'd like to thank you, Jeff, for all the work that you're doing. I did attend the session, the town hall, and I learned, and I've been on council for a few years, but I think that those are great, like to involve the public, because while they're here, they only have a minute to speak about, but anyway, where they can ask questions. And I think we'll do much better if we can educate the public on the different things that are going on.
Yeah, just in response to that, Madam Chair, I was quite impressed with the dialogue that happened, and I've been waiting for our events coordinator to get back from a leave to talk about the concept of doing more of those types of scenarios, picking a topic and having a CAO's coffee club kind of very informal chat, just to do information sharing, not to do politicking, but just to do that like I did with the budget and answer questions, talk about concerns, and see how those things can be fed into our more formal processes. Because as you say, there's, when you come into this room, there's a certain protocol. When you go to committee of the whole, even, there's a certain protocol to that. Whereas when we can do those things like we did with the town hall, it's a more of a free-form discussion and learning for both sides, really. So we're going to try and see what we can come up with for some new ideas around what to do there.
Filling out the assessment form, then you realize how much that you do, Jeff, right? So anyway, thank you for that. Are there any comments from Councillor Wright?
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. The first paragraph of your report notes that our audited financial statements for 2022 aren't done yet. I do believe they're running a tad behind, if I'm not mistaken. So my suggestion would be that perhaps you could come up with some ideas to present to council to see if we can't get 2023's, take some measures so that for 2023 our audited financial statements are done in a measure that wouldn't create this challenge for you when creating the budget for next time.
Anybody else? Sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I'll work with the treasurer on trying to come up with a game plan that we can bring back to council. I suspect on its face, before I have any detailed discussions, that there may be some resources required to bring into play that are outside of our organization right now to make up for some lost ground over the years. Unfortunately, Mr. Tozer's not here as he's dealing with a personal matter, but we'll work towards getting a formal plan, and hopefully we can do a co-authored plan that we can put in front of you that we think will work.
Anybody else? Councillor Cornish?
Jeff, just before, I missed it because I was away on vacation for a couple of weeks, and I came down with sinuses. I'm sniffing, so don't worry about it. Well, it's not a plague. We talked about basically some information sharing with the residents of Ward 1 and 3, because, as we all know, we have very little action that we can perform right now other than downtown Ward 2. Was there many participants that came in, or is that something we got to work on a little bit more to attract them in, to let them know what stage we're at and where we're heading over sometime?
Sure. At the live session, we had a pretty good diverse group. It wasn't a lot of people. There's only about a dozen people, but some rural, some urban. One that doesn't even live within the MD that was curious about some questions and learned a lot about how municipal government works here. But yeah. So one of the things that I talked to the public about was, if we want those types of sessions to be a success, the best way to do that is for the 12 people that were in that room that actually articulated that they enjoyed the session and they thought it was good, to go out and tell 3 friends that the next time we hold one, that these are worth coming to. They're worth spending a couple hours, because word of mouth is the best advertising we can have, right? So I kind of left a challenge with them as well, to say, you know what, the more people that come here, the more robust conversation we have, the more we can learn from each other. But if you want to be, my goal is to build ambassadors in the community and say, yeah, they mean it when they say that they want to listen to us. They're going to record our comments. They're going to answer our comments. I did the best I could to answer a lot of questions on the fly at that session. Some data, like specific data I didn't have with me, but you live and learn from that about what you can have at your fingertips and what people might ask. But I think it was just that honest back and forth dialogue that really makes those things work well. So hopefully we'll push it out to whatever our next topic is or whatever, and those 12 people maybe all bring 3 friends, and we'll grow organically that way.
I appreciate that, Jeff, because I think you're absolutely correct. It's something that's not going to take place immediately. It's got to be almost word of mouth. We have very limited features, I guess, in order to get that type of information out to the public. And I hope like in the new year we start getting more of that, so that when it does take place, they'll know what's going on, what our limitations are, and what we actually can do. Thank you very much.
Okay. Do I move that this report be accepted here? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Councillor.
This is a side topic, but I wanted to thank Jeff and his team. I had an event upstairs today on behalf of Sophia Recovery Center. We had our Sunny Side Up fundraiser where we spread awareness about Sophia Recovery and what we do in community. And we had 144 people in there, and I think we had 2 seats open. And the events team was absolutely fantastic, great to work with. We had so many comments about this Civic Center because it was at the Algonquin last year, and this year I pushed for it to be here, and I got so many great little feedback notes about how beautiful and open and bright that room is, and just how lovely the staff are here at the town. So thank you so much, Jeff, and please share that with your events team as well.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Oppose? Motion carried. We'll move on to Deputy CAO report. Oh, sorry. I'd like to have a mover and seconder that the departmental information reports be acknowledged and received. Can I have them? Councillor Rodas?
I'll say it.
And Councillor Cornish. Okay. Yeah, no, we don't. No, I'm sorry. We'll go back and public comment period. Anyone have any? I guess not. Okay, can I keep the The people, okay. All right, Jeff, not Jeff, Sean, sorry. Sean, sorry. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. I will start with the Protective Services report. For the period between September 19th and October 17th, we responded to 24 municipal district alarms and 1 non-municipal district alarm for a total of 25. That would be an average month. We're currently on track for around 280 responses for the year, give or take. Nothing in that list of responses that I feel we need to talk about unless somebody wants to ask questions. As far as other activities, training is we're getting into the training time of year. Usually starts in fall, runs through till spring. Both for firefighters and for other types of things. I've spent a fair bit of time, and you'll see that in my activities, related to pipeline responses. We did functional exercise, which was basically a tabletop. And then we did a full-scale exercise in Penfield last week, where we were actually out in the field doing an exercise. And I've also filled out surveys and reports that went to the Canada Energy regulators with respect to pipeline relations, and I actually met with 2 of those agents today in my office with respect to that. So fair bit on pipelines and that type of stuff. As far as regular firefighter training, we hosted the burn trailer, which is a new tool that we have. It's had some hiccups. We had it here in the county earlier in the year, and it didn't work. So it didn't completely work. So we were able to do some things, but they sent it back to us again in somewhat better working order, and we were able to do the actual live fire part of it. They call it the burn trailer because it has propane props inside, and you can put firefighters in and simulate an interior fire as part of their training. We've also been doing hazardous materials training. That was the course that I had been teaching for 5 or 6 weeks, hosting the exam tomorrow night. And I'm working on getting a practical training day days to complete logbooks for firefighters related to that. So lots going on there. Another highlight, I attended my first RSC 10 Public Safety Committee meeting last week, so that was good. I think we've got lots to discuss there, and I look forward to future meetings related to that. And other notes, we're preparing for the Halloween event coming up next week. When I came here 5 years ago, I introduced going out into the community and handing out treats, and I think we started out with 400, and now we're up to 700 treats that we prepared this week. We start out with a couple hundred in Milltown and 400 up here up in the courts up here. They go very quickly, and we plan to take 100 out. I'm working on some way of getting out to Oak Bay, either for the trunk or treat or at the station. We're still working on what exactly we're going to do there, but the intent is to send some treats out there as well. And the kids really love that, and so do the parents, because they flock to the trucks and the kids flock to the treats. So we're always very well received. Also, the hiring process for volunteer firefighters, we're ramping that up in preparation for the 2024 training season. CAO Renault signed off on some requests to hire for a number of known qualified firefighters that are looking to come on board. So we're working through that this week to try and get them geared up and all the things that they need to do to come on board. And very soon we're going to look at a stack of non-known, non-qualified applicants, and then we'll look through that and see if there's some others that we can bring into the play as well. So boosting our numbers. As far as bylaw enforcement goes, not a lot to talk about there. I will say one of Brent's notes was we attended an encampment with myself, the fire marshal, the building inspector, and the RCMP, did an inspection. removed, or had the occupants remove a fire hazard, and that was successful. They were very obliging, and we had no issues. I also have the fire marshal in town looking at a few other things, which I can't really talk about, but we are doing what we can to deal with fire-related things where we have jurisdiction and where we can. Building inspection, I don't have a whole lot to add to the report. Xander will probably highlight the highlights when he does his, so I don't have a whole lot to say on that. I think that's all I have for protective services, so if anybody wanted to take any questions on protective services before we move to infrastructure, I guess we could do that.
I just have a question about Union Street, the small patch there, the bump patch. Is there a projected completion date on that?
Hope. I was going to talk about that more in infrastructure, but you asked the question. I guess I can answer it. There is a bunch of pavement that needs to go on that school street project on both ends, more on the other end than on the Union Street end, but the curb machine was supposed to arrive today. I don't know if it did or not. They have to do the curbing first, and then they'll complete the asphalt. They're under the same constraints that I'm going to talk about, that we're under, and that the end of the year is coming. So, yes, I hope to see that resolved soon.
Anybody else? So you're going to continue, okay.
I'll move on with infrastructure. Thank you. Well, as every other month, Dave Beach gives me a list of activities that Public Works did in the month of September for this report. Not a whole lot I want to talk about other than patching, road cuts, and potholes. Asphalt, as I've mentioned in several other council meetings, has been problematic in that the plant is still in Grand Manan. I don't know if it's ever coming back. So we have really scrambled this year to get asphalt done. Weather has not been cooperative. We have a few more projects that we need to get done that we are going to hopefully get done next week. But the reality is we have a list of things that we would like to do that is probably not going to get done. And that's just the nature of the beast that we had this year as far as weather and availability. The same, we have some concrete work that needs to be done. Our hope is next week to get some concrete in the ground, but if we don't, we may have to put cold patch in to hold these things over for the winter until we get better weather again for concrete. What else did I have? You mentioned the school street. I was going to mention that the curb machine was supposed to show up today, so hopefully that shows soon. We have lists of things that we like to do, but always our priorities are emergencies. And for example, this week we had 2 separate water breaks and a wastewater issue that take precedent over everything else. So those were dealt with. Also, we put up the veterans banners. We were a little bit behind, but they did get put up this week. And we have the dock removal going on tomorrow. We had to arrange to get the equipment in place. They're coming tomorrow. And we're undercoating all the vehicles before our mechanic goes off to take some training. So those are the big activities that we were doing this week. I guess that's all I really have as far as the general report goes on infrastructure. And again, if anybody had any questions, I would take them.
Councillor Greenlaw?
Just on the infrastructure report, it says shut off three services and turn 2 services on. Now that's water, obviously, right?
Yes, that would be water.
So were they shut off because of not paying, or were they just shut off because the buildings were vacant or whatever?
Honestly, I don't have the details on what they were, but it could be either or. Sometimes people go away for the winter. Sometimes they they move out or whatever, but it could very well be from lack of paying their bills as well. But I don't know specifically.
Okay, Councillor Heisler?
Fall cleanup. I noticed that there's, I think it was the date was the 4th of November? 6th is in November? Okay, just wanted to go and kind of put that out to the public, but there's a lot of trees that haven't got the leaves off them yet, I've noticed this year. I know you have to set a time somewhere, and December 24th is not going to be it, so. But it is like, I looked at my leaves in the front of my house, and there's one tree that has the leaves off, and all the other 4 have it on there, so. Is there any chance of maybe doing what we did during the hurricane cleanup and have access to some place where we could just put leaves or something? Maybe look at that. Maybe look at that. That's all I'm saying. Maybe that might be an idea for. There's always stragglers, including myself, probably that need to go. That need to have a place to put my leaves, or I'm just gonna leave them on my front lawn. I don't know.
Well, that certainly could be a consideration, and if that's the wish of council to do so, we could certainly organize it, I guess. I get that the leaves are late coming off. I was thinking the same thing looking around my yard.
Maybe down the road.
Yeah, okay.
Councillor Cornish?
Just a comment, I guess, on that. Just want to give a little update. A lot of people don't realize it, but we now do have a pretty good road from almost Grand Falls Flowage, Little Ridge, our partners in crime, the government, paved the entire road from the Catholic Cemetery right to the almost Grand Falls Flowage this year. Did a beautiful job on it. The completion of the rest of or part of Union Street coming in, we have a pretty good runway from our area in Ward 1 into town now, and I know I've given Alan a hard time a long time before I got to this position about the roadway, but now the entrance with the Little Ridge Road, which must be 10 miles that they paved this year, which is going to help us in the future, and plus the portion of the Union Street does make it nice for our people of that area to come to town now. So I hope in the future we'll get Union Street done, and that will make it even a lot better. But anyway, that last piece, I think they're finished. They may have to do another coating next year, I'm not sure. But right now it's made quite a difference in that piece of highway. Anyway, thank you, and I just want to make sure that everybody knows there has been a little bit of work going on out there with our partners in government, and so hopefully over the next couple of years we'll have the privilege to have a little bit more done. Anyway, thank you very much.
Councillor Otis?
This is a random question I got by a community member, but is the Kings Court area, was there already an application put in for that street name to be changed? And just because if there hasn't, there is another request, but I think I remember you saying that at another meeting, so we can publicly address the progress of that. I think it.
Yes, there is an active request in. If we're going to do a full-blown name change, totally legal name change for that portion of road, it's a very big endeavor. Involves Canada Post and all kinds of fun things that change. If one wanted to do an informal name, then it becomes more of a public relations type thing, and it's much easier to accomplish. It kind of got caught up as far as the formal side of it, because we had originally told, I think it was town council when we first came in, that if we were going to go through the very formal process, there was a bunch of stuff that we wanted to correct for 911 as well, numbering issues and things like that. And at the same time, we were desperately overdue to renew our traffic bylaw, and all these things are interlinked. So to do the full formal thing is going to take a lot of work and a lot of time. To do an honorary name could be done rather quickly, and it's something that committee of the whole, we could put on the committee of the whole agenda if you wanted to discuss those options a little bit more in detail and come up with a way forward.
Okay, anybody else? Councillor Greenlaw?
Just on the work and the pavement that was done, it looks like on Kings Court and on Burton. You made the statement there that it was, that this is being, the expense came from the operational budget. Would that normally come from the operational budget, or would that normally be part of infrastructure or a different budget?
That one. Probably. As far as what budget it come from, it's considered repairs and maintenance, so it would be operationalized in most cases, unless it was part of a really big program that put us over the threshold to capitalize it. We did it out of operating because a lot of reasons, but one being time. Capital budgeting, we have to come to council and get the capital money approved when it's not already approved in our budget. And we were up against a school opening date and various other things that we wanted to make sure the kids had a safe walkway. But do you have the estimate on the cost, Sean?
I'm just trying to remember. I believe Burton Avenue was 34,000, and the sidewalk to the school was 16,000. And to clarify, that money came out of the asphalt budgets that we have operationally that we would have loved to spread ourselves, but it wouldn't have gotten spent because, well, we just wouldn't have had the time or the ability to do it. So that made it possible to get it done.
Okay, anybody else? I'd just like to take a moment to thank your employees for putting up the banners. I know how much work it must be, and now they put these, plus they also do the graduates, so I mean, it's 2 big jobs a year, and I've heard lots of positive comment. People love when they come up, so.
Staff enjoys putting them up. They're honored to put up, especially the veterans ones, and of course they take enjoyment seeing the graduates going up as well. They're fairly efficient at it, so it's not a huge undertaking, though it does take away from other things like fixing sidewalks and things like that, and leaves. But staff do enjoy doing it. So it is our pleasure to be able to do it. But it does take away from other things.
Thank them for us. They are appreciated. Any more questions for Sean? Okay, Councillor Wright.
Not just on carrying on the theme of the banners, Madam. I believe there's a local company that also helps with getting those up, is there not? So it's a team effort between the town and other people who care. So I just wanted to make that note. That's all. Not to name names, just that a lot of people care enough to invest into it.
Yes, the boom truck that puts those banners up is not owned by the town. It is Disher's. This year they donated that truck for the time it took to do that. So that is a very good gesture on their part. They've always been good with us with that, but this year they just said, take it.
Yeah, we certainly want to thank them. That's right. Any more? Councillor Otis?
We also want to thank Councillor Eastman for his service.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the Southwest New Brunswick Service Commission planning report. Xander?
Oh, that got turned on for me. Amazing. All right, so I'm filling in for Alex tonight. And I'll do my best to answer any questions if there are any. I'm fairly aware of what's going on. So the planning update, PRAC approved a variance request for 99B King Street. That's the upper building related to the minimum size of dwelling units, and that has that was the final approval that they needed to move to completion on the 30-unit apartment building they're building. I think not this week, but next week, I'm really happy about this. We're getting a GIS and planning technician, so they're going to be helping me out a lot with mapping work and other things, and we're looking to lend support to the municipality in maybe infrastructure mapping and things like that, we can help out with a little bit more. As the CAO mentioned, we are working with the town on land disposition. I'm here tonight to specifically talk about, I think, a pretty straightforward rezoning of 2 properties on Union Street based on mapping errors from the 2011 zoning bylaw that we unfortunately have to go through a bit of a process to fix. But that's on the agenda for later, so I can talk more about that later if there are questions. It's not on the report, but worth mentioning, I think it actually came up at the budget session that I attended, so I was able to sort of answer the question. But the Housing Accelerator Fund, we did hear from CMHC, and they wanted a few updates and changes, and we made those changes and sent that back. So I think that's good news that they're following up with us, and so I think we'll know more not too long. In terms of development, to date this year, 70 building permit applications have been processed, and our role is reviewing them for zoning compliance. 37 development permit applications processed. The total value of new construction in the municipality is almost $5 million. It's $4,987,000, a few other numbers. We've done 21 zoning confirmations and exemption of registry documents, 9 variances, things like that we take to prac, 5 sign permits, 18 subdivision applications, including 25 new lots added to the municipality, with 6 in the reporting period, and 59 net new dwelling units have been permitted in 2023. 33 of those this reporting period, and 30 of those would be 99 King. So that's the report, and I'm happy to answer any questions as best I can.
Okay, any questions? Oh.
Just a huge thank you from us to Xander specifically for taking on the Housing Accelerator Fund grant application and all that stuff. It was a huge load off of us to just be able to worry about reviewing and signing off on what he needed to do, and they sent us the questions, what was it, Monday, and they wanted it by Wednesday. Like, it was a very quick turnaround, and all I had to do was hit a forward on my email, and it was taken care of. It's again another sign of the really great partnership we have with the planning folks over at the RSC, and it's a huge asset to this community that we're able to do that. So huge shout out to Xander and his folks for that.
Well, thank you very much. And just reading your report, I'm just overwhelmed with the amount of work that the committee does, right? So thank you again. No other questions here? Okay, community services report. This would be Kev, right?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we'll start with the good news. The pool is open. So it was a slight delay. We hope to get the 16th of October open, but when you fire up equipment after 4 months or so, it blew an O-ring and seal, and it was just a little bit messy under the pool. So we got the parts in, and thankfully everything is going good, and we've had lots of positive comments about the deck and how it looks, and we've had users using the new disability lift as well, which is a lot easier to use than the last one. A couple of comments about the sauna, and the parts are on the way. We are waiting for those, but it's definitely in the plan, so we just want to let people know about that. So we're really pleased with how it's looked, and we have the outdoor pool, because we did finish the season a little later, but sooner than we'd hoped. We are, as I put in my report, looking into a new liner. It's not going to be cheap, so I'm just kind of putting that in your a little seed in your ear now. So just to warn you. Elsewhere, the plaza project is almost done. Again, we're waiting on parts. It's the electrical pieces that we see, those lovely orange candlesticks out there right now. We want those to be replaced with actual real-life lights and that do light. So we're so close. It's so frustrating, but we're almost there. We have just to add to the brush pickup, the fall pickup. We've been supporting the corporate services team. They're sending out the water bills this week, and we've got flyers going out as well. So there's people will actually get to see in their hand a paper copy of what they can and can't do. I was kind of working with Dave Beach on narrowing down the date. Obviously the Monday, we try and stick to a Monday. One day because it's more expensive if we go 2 or 3 days if we go through the contractor. We go, the 13th is a stat holiday for Remembrance Day, so we couldn't go into that one. And then as we get later into November, it's just gets a little colder, and there's a recycling day in there as well, and the contractor doesn't like that. So there's lots of things, but I say we'll work together. We ask a lot of help from Public Works, and we do appreciate them. As you saw in my report, we're getting the floating dock out tomorrow. So that's another little PSA for the community, is that the wharf is going to be closed tomorrow, hopefully just for the morning, but these things can overrun if things come up. So, and we're working on a couple of other things with Dave Beach and the crew as well, and we do appreciate the work they do. We can't do it on our own in parks, but it's a joint effort. We do appreciate them. Other areas that we worked on, like we heard today, Michelle and her events crew did a great job upstairs. The room looked fantastic. The food smelled great. Even at 8 o'clock this morning, it was good. And the aquatics team, like I mentioned, the crew, the lifeguards are back to be working again. They've been assisting with working in the gym, working in the change rooms, just to keep students and staff busy, because it has been 5 weeks since we've had a pool. So there's lots of things going on, and in November we've got tournaments practically every weekend. So it just doesn't stop. It's just go, go, go. So, but if there's any questions, please let me know.
Okay, Councillor Rodas.
I was saying to the CEO earlier, the event was great, but we did have tech issues, and we were kind of laughing about the fact that tech is old after about 3 years. So that might be a suggestion to he's probably looked into it.
Actually, we have our own house mics, and I don't want to throw CHCO under the bus if Vicky's here, but I think she used her own, and so they weren't syncing. So usually it's good, but we'll certainly learn for next time. So.
Councillor Cornish.
Just to pick a quick one, Kevin. I've seen this for some time. I just didn't bother mentioning it, but I did see it again a couple of weeks ago before I went away. And when you go to the pizza restaurant here across from us, if you walk or look out the window onto the harbor, there is a bunch of bushes, logs, junk that has floated up against the wharf. And when it comes up and down, it is a mess. And I think it could actually be reached by a backhoe or some sort of a clam device and just clean that up, because it does look quite bad. So at low tide, it's probably laying in the mud. At high tide the other day, it was right up almost to the top of the wharf. So I'm just wondering, I'll just leave it with you. If you get a chance, maybe you can take a look at it. And it's not very pretty anyway. You're looking at the river. Thank you.
I feel like I'm stuck between two departments looking at each other here. We'll take a look at it.
I don't know which one you two know, but they're good. I thought it was, I wasn't so sure.
Councillor Rodas.
Yeah, last thing, I wanted to mention I had a great sit down with David Ganong, who went over the basketball court, and I just think for new counselors, I'd love to at some point, maybe at a committee of the whole, talk about the basketball court and go over their formal plan of what it's going to look like and what they're trying to have the community support in terms of fundraising, because it is fantastic. It's unbelievable to look at, but I think for most new counselors and a lot of community members previous to this being filmed, I'd love to see just him come by and do a presentation, because I wasn't even aware that we do assist the volunteers on the maintenance of the court with the town, and that's really wonderful too.
I believe that Councillor Heislip might be able to speak to that.
Yeah, I can speak to it a little bit. I know I've had requests from Richard, and I want to bring this forward to council to get a time organized that we can all go over to actually see the court. And I asked him if he preferred to do a presentation. He says he's done presentations to council before, even though I know there's new councillors, but he figured it'd be more productive to go actually to the court, see what's there now. And they do have little bit renderings of what it's going to look like, and I've seen what it's going to look like, and it's quite the building for what the space we have to work with, right? Yeah. So I think that'd be more effective. So if we can get maybe through the CAO's office and working with Richard to see if we can make maybe half an hour before or half an hour after we finish a committee of the whole meeting. To go over across the street and have that as part of our committee of the whole meeting, and maybe look at that and get a little bit better understanding of what's going on there, because there's a lot of stuff going on there, and it's going to go fast and furious when we get some more funding, right?
Okay. Okay, Councillor Cornish.
I also had the privilege, similar to yourself, of having about a half an hour, 3/4 of an hour with David Ganong at the restaurant, and he happened to have his latest renderings, plans, and very, very, very impressive. So I think it'd be great if we, as a council member, see that, because it will make a big difference on the downtown core if we get that down there. It's beautiful. Anyway, just to add to that, they're working on it hard, and they got a few donations, and hopefully we can make that one roll. Thank you.
Okay.
Just another point on that. Yeah, there is phase 1 of fundraising has already been completed, and if you happen to go tonight and see a repeat of CTV News, it's actually I think David Ganong, or there's a couple of other interviews. There's one on CHCO on their site that they interviewed David Ganong and
CTV saw CHCO.
Yeah, and Tom Liston.
Vicky wanted us.
And and CTV got a hold of it, and I think they interviewed a couple other people on it, so that might be interesting. I've never seen it tonight, but there will be a link out there. So just check on the world's oldest basketball court on Facebook, and you might see a link on CTV News about it.
So Jeff, is there a possibility that we could do this?
Absolutely. The only thing that I was waiting for and was I deal with the project manager more than anybody else over there, and Mr. Marshall had indicated to me that the final product from the consulting firm that we engaged to create the plan was in its final stages, and he was kind of waiting for the final product to come. That might be the time to really set everything up, is when they have the final plan in hand. Obviously, we still hold a significant amount of money related to capital works over there. The reason I reached out to Mr. Marshall the other day was I'm obviously trying to do budgeting and trying to figure out exactly what the plans are. I'm supposed to have that in the next little bit. So I think everything's kind of coming together. So a little bit of patience, and I think we can get a really good setup between my office, Mr. Marshall, and the board for Canada First to do a really good education session on what the plan is going forward and bring everybody up to speed.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to mention to the public to look at the events. They're listed that are taking place, and like Kev mentioned, there's almost something every weekend. And I mean, it's lined right up, and people would go because they're always looking for activities to go to, and they're certainly enjoyable. Like you get the hockey games here, and so it's good. Okay, any other questions, comments? Okay, we'll move to the treasurer's report. Are there any questions on the treasurer's report? And I know that Mr. Tozer's not here. Yes?
Yeah, I mean, it was unexpected absence from Mr. Tozer, and but yeah, if there's any questions, I wouldn't want to hazard a guess at his financials, but if council has questions, probably the best over the next few days would be to just email me or give me a call at the in the office, and we'll between myself and the assistant treasurer, we'll get you whatever responses you're looking for.
Thank you. Future St. Stephen. Oh, sorry.
I just had one back to Kevin there. I wanted to thank Kevin's group of people for the support for the Charlotte County Fall Fair. That was great, all the tables, all the work you guys did, and having the setup there with that was awesome. It was really, really greatly appreciated. And I just kind of missed that because we got moving faster than I thought. So I wanted to get that in there. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I think, yeah.
Okay, Councillor Cornish.
I'd just like to also thank Councillor Greenlaw as being our chief when we were down at the Fall Fair. I'm getting a laugh over here from my fellow councillor, Mr. Eastman, but Wade, you did a super job, and we had some interesting times because I have never participated in that. I don't think maybe Earl, not possibly either. But the traffic control for that fair is a very interesting project, particularly when you run out of land to put cars on. And it worked out well, but it was a matter of minutes or seconds before it worked out. But Wade, you did a great job representing us, and there were several councillors there. And I think it was a very successful fair because literally by, I want to say 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock the most, we didn't have any room for cars there for a while. I was starting to sweat, but anyway. And also like to mention another thing too, Wade, we talked about, and that was the new faces that appeared from the Philippines, possibly other places from Asia and India. They were actually down there doing work that I have never seen before, and I think these people are starting to fit in the community very well, and I think they need a little, I'll just say, applause, but nothing else, because they certainly were very beneficial in some of the things they were doing. So other than that, Mr. Greenlaw, you did a good job. You made a good cop, and we'll probably be back next year directing traffic.
I appreciate all the councilors that volunteered too. It's great to see everybody down there. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Future St. Stephen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, so this past month, I've been meeting with numerous developers and different opportunities for development, specifically around housing and the hotel. And I met with a few new ones, as well as continuing to meet with developers that have been interested in, and obviously, it's an ongoing process of lots of communication back and forth and continuing discussion. I did meet with another developer regarding a specific MDSS property and asset, and he again is looking to develop it, which will come to you at some point when the proposal's ready. I'm doing lots of work ahead of time to make sure it's a successful proposal as opposed to, just something out there. So I work a lot ahead, and then it proceeds to the CAO for further help. I did meet with a group of developers, and again, I do want to thank the CAO as well as Kev's team. It was last minute. I got a call like Tuesday. They were coming down Wednesday. The GCC is a huge asset for us and lots of opportunity, and I really appreciated them. Specifically, Michelle toured with them and gave them lots of insight to it. And since this report was written, they did notify me that they're coming down again next week with further interest. So those kind of things definitely help. And that group was specifically looking at investment regarding a hotel or potential further housing. So it's a good opportunity there. Again, I can't speak enough to the RSC as well. Often I have different developers or different people interested in properties or development, and I work in partnership with them to discuss zoning or what can be done on our property and what can't. So I met again with one. I put in my report one business, but it's an ongoing process, and I quite often reach out to them for assistance as well. As far as labor force development, I continually meet with so it's Charlene from the RSC as well for their regional economic development. We as Future St. Stephen really have a pulse on what's going on within our municipality, but obviously it does affect regional when one business closes. We also try to work to bring in other businesses that can supplement those jobs and that sort of thing. So that's something we continually work on. As well as I attended the Youth Expo, which was good to see a new, younger adults interested in careers and be able to give them the opportunity to explore even business as whole and entrepreneurship. And lastly, I met with two Horizon Health representatives that were interested in doing they are doing a community health needs assessment. That was something that even Kendall worked on previous to myself. They're in the phase where they're working with specific focus groups and reached out to Future St. Stephen to connect them with newcomers, being newcomers from within Canada as well as overseas to our municipality to discuss further needs. So if there's any questions, I'm willing to take them.
Any questions or comments? Councillor Rodas?
Yeah, I'm going to do a shout out to Horizon's community development team because it's really important for the community health needs assessment every year that they get the data that they need. So if you are somebody in community who is interested in sharing your experiences of the healthcare system or Horizon services, that's the best way on the ground to speak to somebody working in your community, understanding your community, and taking that voice and advocating back up. I spoke with them actually recently. We did a focus group at Sophia on addictions and mental health, and some of the people asked, if I share something, what's actually going to happen? Like, what's really going to come from this? And we talked about how eHealth New Brunswick and being able to access your prescriptions online now, that those things have all been developed based on the community health needs assessments happening in communities. So I would encourage you, if you have questions, you can send me an email and I can connect you with Heather Chase or Naomi Orvis, and let's try to get as many of those filled out as we can in community, especially in our current municipality and what we're experiencing. It's important that we share that up through Horizon. So just a side note.
Is this a new survey they're doing, or is it an extension of the survey that they did before?
So I can't speak for Heather specifically, but I believe it is an extension. So this came out of a previous survey that there was a community health needs assessment that basically, like Councillor Rodas is saying, the more data they can receive. This specific one that they asked me to work alongside or partner with them was because of our Welcome to St. Stephen program, and we know well, at least we're tracking and connecting anyone that's moving to St. Stephen, regardless whether it's, like I mentioned, overseas or even within Canada. So they reached out to me specifically for that reason, because they're doing multiple focus groups. I think there's one for young adults and so on. So yeah, I believe it's ongoing, right? Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, I believe that those are our reports. So all those in favor that we acknowledge these reports? Aye. Opposed? Motion carry. The next article we're going to move on are the bylaws. Okay, I hope I do this right. Okay. First, we're going to deal with the bylaw MDSS 15-23 to regulate the use of public parks, second reading as amended. The proposed resolution would be that, do we get the mover and seconder before?
Mover, seconder now.
Now, okay. Who'd like to move? Councillor Rodas, seconder. Councillor Wright. Are there any discussion, questions, comments?
So, Madam Chair, just briefly. Just a few. We did work on the, as it is being presented as amended. As per our last chat about this bylaw, Councillor Wright and I and Mr. Sumner had an entertaining meeting as we nitpicked over word choices here and there. But I think we came to an understanding of where we had a gap in our understanding of each other's intentions, and found a happy compromise, I hope. And I think we also made the language changes that Councillor Eastman was looking for in relation to monuments and parks and whatnot. So I'm hoping, that's why we didn't put it on for second and third reading. We're going to do second reading tonight. If we're still good, we'll bring it for third reading at our next meeting.
So the proposed resolution that bylaw MDSS 15-23, being a bylaw to regulate the use of public parks, be given second reading as amended. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carry. Second part, we have Community Planning and Development Services fee by bylaw, second and third reading. I need a mover and seconder. So moved by Councillor Heislip, seconded by Councillor Greenlaw. Do you? For second. For.
Need one vote for second reading and one vote for third reading.
Okay, for second reading. Yep. So, comments, do I ask Sander?
Madam Chair, it was presented at the last meeting when we did first reading. So if council has further questions, we can grill Mr. Gopin. If not, you're free to proceed with the readings if you wish.
For the second reading, any questions, comments? Okay, Councillor Wright?
I believe in that, just to note for clarity and for full disclosure, this is an amended second reading, is it not? Based on the PrAC recommendation?
Yeah, so PrAC made the recommendation that I think it wasn't entire. There was, I think there was a little bit of acknowledgement of the former local service districts as well, and in the language of the bylaw. I don't think it changed anything substantial, but yes, it was amended, and that's in the package, the amended version.
More questions, comments? Okay, the proposed resolution that bylaw number 14-23, being the Community Planning Development Service Fee bylaw, be given second reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carry. So now I have to do it for the third reading. Same bylaw. I need a mover. Councillor Rodas.
I'll second it.
And seconded by Councillor Cornish. Any further questions or comments? Okay, the bylaw number 14-23, being the Community Planning and Development Services Fee bylaw, be given third reading. Third and final reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Okay. We have another one, proposed bylaw amendments, planning report. Need a seconder for, a mover and seconder for M-2-05 bylaw to amend municipal plan bylaw M-2. Do I have a mover? Councillor Eastman. Seconder, Councillor Rodas. Any discussion, questions? Okay, I'm sorry. Councillor Wright?
No problem. Thank you. I was just going to note that I believe these are the ones that Xander was referencing earlier in his report. So about a mix-up in the planning from 2011. So, yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
Okay. Proposed resolution that bylaw number M-2-05, a bylaw to amend bylaw number M-2, being municipal plan bylaw for the municipal district of St. Stephen, be given first reading by title, and that the following dates be set. Public presentation November 8, 2023, public hearing November 29, 2023, and that the draft bylaw be forwarded to the Planning Review and Adjustment Committee, requesting their written views be provided by November 16, 2023. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Bylaw, motion carried. B, Z, I need a mover and seconder for Z-3-02 bylaw to amend zoning bylaw Z3. Can I have a mover? Councillor Heislip, seconder. Councillor Greenlaw. Any questions or comments? Okay. The proposed resolution be that bylaw number Z-3-02, a bylaw to amend bylaw number Z-3, being zoning bylaw for the municipal district of St. Stephen, be given first reading by title, and that November 29, 2003 be the date set for the public hearing, and the draft bylaw be forwarded to the Planning Review and Adjustment Committee, requesting their written view be provided by November 16, 2023. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, we need another mover and seconder for bylaw MDSS 16-23, a bylaw to impose a special business improvement levy for 2024. That's the first reading. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Greenlaw, mover. Councillor Rodas, seconder. This would be the first reading. Any questions, comments? Councillor Wright?
Thank you. Is this rate set by the business improvement legislation?
It is. It's actually the maximum levy amount that we can use that's allowable under the Act. It's the same levy that has been in place for quite a number of years.
Any further questions? Okay, the proposed resolution that bylaw MDSS 16-23 being a bylaw to impose a special business improvement levy for 2024 be given the first reading. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Then we move on to new business, and we have some requests for decision. And I need mover and seconder for the Provincial Municipal Highway Partnership Program application. Councillor Rodas, seconder, Councillor Heislip. Any questions, comments? The proposed resolution being that the document entitled Municipal District of St. Stephen 4-Year Plan for the PMHP Program 2025 to 2028 be adopted. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. B, we need a mover and seconder for rumination of volunteer firefighters. Councillor Heislip, seconded. Councillor Cornish. Any questions? Probably read all what was asked. The proposed resolution being that council adopts the proposed remuneration of volunteer firefighter policy. I think it goes on. All those in favor? Aye. Oppose? Motion carried. Okay, award of tender MDSS 23-02, the waste collection service. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Eastman, sorry. Mover, Councillor Eastman, seconder, Councillor Wright. Are there any questions or comments? Yes, Councillor.
What would be the change from that contract from last year to this year?
Unfortunately, corporate services runs the tender, so it would be better if it's roughly the same. It's probably a little bit less actually, because of the reduced number of runs that we're going to be paying after May 1st. So there is an increase in the cost of living, essentially increase to the contract, but because we are going to be responsible for one less service per month for 8 months, it's kind of a wash. So it's actually, when we looked at the budget, it was pretty close to what we had been budgeting or what we expected. So we were happy with that. But yeah, we'd have to get the detailed on the item. Obviously, as in the report, the other bid that came in for the services was significantly different. So we were very strongly encouraging you to go with the low bid on this contract.
Yeah, that's what I was just getting to, the circular materials taking over the recycling. So, yeah, thank you.
Any further questions? Proposed resolution being that council awards MDSS 23-02 for waste collection services within Ward 2 to Southern Sanitation Limited for a term commencing November 1st, 2023 and expiring October 31st, 2027, for a total contract cost of $704,253.60. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Sorry. Motion carry. And the next motion is the one considering 172 Pleasant Street, -PS-041-2023. I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Greenlaw, seconder. Councillor Cornish. Any questions, comments? Councillor Eastman.
Does the town retain the property? Who comes up with the cost for this?
Yes.
So this is the end of the unsightly properties process. So what happens is we incur the costs up front for this work. We get reimbursed by the province of New Brunswick, and as far as the property still goes through its normal system as far as tax collection and tax sales, and so it goes to them when and if they go through their process on that side. But we end up having to front end cash to take care of the problem, and have to wait a little while to get it back. We try to do it around now and when we can, because of the timing of money we're out for a less amount of time. If we do it in different parts of the year, where our treasurer, who's not here, gets very upset from a cash flow point of view. But yeah, we end up being made whole again when in time.
Thank you.
Councillor Wright.
I'm assuming this property is vacant, and it's vacant, like it's uninhabitable at this point, correct?
Yes, it burnt flat, and no, it's flat.
Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Heisler?
Yeah, on that note, I am familiar with that property, but some people may not, like yourself, and I think a little bit more information, if it's something legal doesn't allow, then I can see that, and I don't want to add a lot of work, but even just the map and a picture when you do these things might be beneficial, because I can see somewhere down the road that we might get some backlash on somebody's, property, and it's going to come to me probably when I'm walking into Superstore or Tim Hortons, and I like to be aware of exactly where it is and what the issue is. I know that one was burnt flat because I remember when it happened, but there might be something down the road that might come across. And I've seen other municipalities' reports on this, and there's usually, I don't want to go and add a lot of work to it. They're 4 or 5 pages, and they have pictures of everything that they've said and what, in this case it's a burnt dwelling, but in other cases it might not be that way. So I'd like to have just a little bit more information, just so we are aware of it. Because 172 doesn't mean anything to me, the numbers, but.
Point taken. We do have all of that information. I understand your point, and I don't think there's anything legally stopping us from bringing it out. So in the future, at least parts of it could be.
We've done pictures before.
Yep. I apologize for not making those known.
Otis?
I also have a question. When it says council authorizes staff to undertake necessary actions up to and including demolition, do you normally describe exactly what's going to happen, or is it just more so the key issues and then bylaw compliance? Just.
That language is chosen with exceptional care from a legal point of view. There are times where we're under unsightly property where tear down might not be the most economically and efficient way to bring compliance. It usually is, because if anybody who does a renovation project knows they're way more expensive. But we leave that option there, and the other part of that is it's just a matter of making legislative compliance happen.
Anybody else? Okay. Proposed resolution that council authorize staff to undertake the necessary actions up to and including demolition to bring the property located at 172 Pleasant Street into bylaw compliance in the most efficient and economical manner possible. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carry. Okay, we're going to move on to the correspondence. In your package, you had a thank you cards from the Frigo family. Also, since the package was put together, I have received a thank you card from Carol Baker. As most of you would know, Carol is the great supporter of the Terry Fox, and we did make a donation as a town, and did take her photo. Anyway, and we do appreciate, the town really appreciates all the work that she does every year. She's been doing it for 43 years since Terry Fox started. So anyway, we do thank her. Next, we have the council reports. I'd like to have a mover and seconder that the council reports be acknowledged and received. Councillor Greenlaw, and the seconder, Councillor Cornish. Are there any questions or comments about the reports? Okay, the proposed resolution is that the council reports be acknowledged and received. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carry. And did you have a comment?
No.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I need a motion to close the meeting to the public. I need a mover and seconder. Councillor Eastman, and the seconder?
I'll say it.
Councillor Wright? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? So, Do we do a resolution for what we're going to do in the closed meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I need a mover and seconder for the proposed resolution that pursuant the Section 68-1 of the Local Governance Act, Council moved to a closed session for the purpose of discussing third-party confidentiality and negotiation of contract. So, mover, seconder, sorry, Councillor Rodas and Councillor Heisler. All those in favor? Aye. Oppose? Motion carried.